The KDKA Sports Desk is brought to you by Xfinity.
Welcome back. A little sports update for you. We start with Pitt practice, day 6 of Pitt football camp over on the south side. And Pat Narduzzi talked before practice today about how his team went live with pads for the first time yesterday, but they're beginning to progress and things are starting to pick up in practice. And one thing that he admitted today is that they've already started preparing for what they're going to see and what they're going to do against Virginia in their season opener on August 31st. Of course, that's their first game of the season. It's also their first ACC Coastal Division game. And that will take place at Heinz Field. And Pat Narduzzi admitted that they've been working on installing some things throughout the summer, just different things here and there that they're working for that Virginia game. And the coaching staff is preparing accordingly. So some good news out of Pitt camp as they prepare for the upcoming season. Then we look at the Pirates, of course. They've won only 4 of their last 25 games since the All-Star break. And the pitching, if you're looking at reasons why things haven't gone well, the pitching's probably one of the main culprits. But there could be some help on the way. Multiple outlets are reporting that the Pirates are expected to call up top pitching prospect Mitch Keller before their series next week in Anaheim against the Angels. Now, Keller started 3 games earlier this season for the Pirates, and if you're looking at the video, that happened quite a bit. He gave up 16 runs in 12 innings. He also struck out 15 batters, but clearly mixed results for Mitch Keller, but it looks like he will be, at least reportedly, joining this Pirates rotation in the near future. So there's plenty more to talk about, of course, as we talk about football and baseball. Let's get some scores from the preseason because there's a lot of preseason football going on right now. In MetLife Stadium, Jets and Giants. Giants lead 31-15. Cleveland leading Washington 30-20 in their preseason game. Tennessee leading Philly 27-10, and Carolina leading Chicago 16-13. Also out in the West Coast, Cardinals and Chargers in Kyler Murray's first taste of NFL action as a quarterback, and he's out there with Larry Fitzgerald, and they're doing their thing early with Arizona's offense. But taking your phone calls, 412-575-2600 on the Bordas and Bordas hotline. Also taking your tweets at Josh Taylor HD. First tweet of the night comes from Joe. He says, who has the better season, Pitt, Penn State, or West Virginia? There's a couple different ways I can go with this. I'm going to go with Penn State for this reason. I'm going to go with Penn State because, first of all, West Virginia, I'm expecting probably bigger things than maybe most people are out of West Virginia. I think Neil Brown is one of those really underappreciated coaches showing up at West Virginia. He's a guy that's going to find some talent out of some maybe unsuspecting areas. He's going to bring in some guys I think that can help them quickly, but it's really hard to anticipate what they're going to do in the Big 12, having that kind of turnover, going from Dana Holgorsen to a guy like Neil Brown. So it's hard for me to say West Virginia off the top. I'm going to have the same reasoning with Pitt because a lot of turnover on the offensive side. I'm really curious to see what Mark Whipple does as the offensive coordinator. I'm hoping Mark Whipple comes in and proves a lot of people wrong. I'd love to see that happen because I would love to see this program run an offense that's more akin to the 21st century, so to speak. That's all I'm saying. I'd love to see that happen. And Mark Whipple's got a lot of experience both in the college game and also at the NFL level that I think he could bring a little bit more of an updated offensive tone to Pitt. So I'm really curious to see what he does there. However, I'm not as sold on what we're going to see in this first year under him. I'm wondering if there will be any growing pains. I hope there isn't, but there's not as much to be at least 100% concrete with when it comes to Pitt and West Virginia. So that's why I'm going to go with Penn State. There's a lot of continuity there. The coaching staff's still intact. Not that that changes everything or makes a lot of difference, but when you're talking about from the standpoint of keeping continuity and knowing what that program has done over the years and what they've been able to accomplish, and I know some people try to poo-poo it, but some of the numbers are there and you can't really dispute them. So if I have to go with the 3, I'm going to go with Penn State only because they actually have the most continuity right now as far as their staff and as far as what they've been doing with that program and what they're able to accomplish. But 412-575-2600 is the number. Let's start with Glenn in McKeesport. Glenn, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Yes, my question is, don't you think the Pirates need to find a third baseman or a corner outfielder to fill in?
Why stop there? If they're going to try to win games, they need to find pitching. I'm not going to start at third base or corner outfield when third base and corner outfield haven't been the problem. Pitching's been the problem. They need to find pitching. They need to take a cue from Theo Epstein. When Theo Epstein first arrived in Chicago, he had this whiteboard in his office with just one message posted on it and it had 2 words: find pitching. The Pirates need to have that exact same mantra if they're going to do anything, not only in 2020, but any time moving forward. They have to be able to find what they're doing as far as the pitching situation, fix it now, and then move forward and then fix it down the road. Hopefully Mitch Keller, you're hoping Mitch Keller's one of those kernels in the pot that actually pops and turns into something that they can use. But right now, given the recent history that they've had developing pitchers, it's really hard to be optimistic. And that's really not, it's not being rude, it's not being, it's not being a Debbie Downer, it's just the truth. You have to be able to look at this with an objective view. And the truth of the matter is their ability to develop pitching through their minor league system and actually bring it to the surface in the forefront in the major league level and show those kind of results. It's lacking right now. Let's go to Pete in Squirrel Hill. Pete, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Josh, how are you today, my friend? Thank you for taking the call.
Thanks for calling in.
Hey, Josh, with NFL football upon us and everything, I got a good friend of mine who goes to Vegas about 4 or 5 times a year.
Okay.
And he's a major player. And he says the smart money in Vegas is on the Saints to win a Super Bowl. He got him at 12-1. And he likes them for the simple fact, as a lot of the other people do, is because what happened last year in that title game against the Rams, how they were jobbed, their chance taken away to play for the title. And one more thing, if I may, about the Pirates organization, Josh. When you reach the major leagues, you've pretty much been playing baseball an awful long time in your life.
Most of your life.
So once you get there, Josh, how do you not know how to slide, field the ball, and throw the ball? It defies logic, okay? Thanks, my man.
Good points. Appreciate the call. What did Kevin Costner say in Bull Durham? Baseball's a simple game. You throw the ball, you hit the ball, you catch the ball. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes it rains. Think about that. No, seriously. You're not wrong. There are some things that should be more instinctual than that are skill related. Yeah, it does come back to, what are you really being taught? What's firing as far as your instincts are concerned? What synapses are going off when certain plays are happening? It definitely does. It does garner a lot of questions, especially as far as this organization is concerned. To your point about the NFL with the Saints, I like the thought of the Saints being a 12-1 pick for the Super Bowl, but for my reasoning, it has nothing to do with last year. It has a lot to do with it still being Drew Brees and Sean Payton. That's one of the best coach and quarterback combinations in the NFL. If you want to talk about having success in the NFL, it has to be coach and quarterback, and the two have to be symbiotic. If you're talking about top quarterback and coach combinations, Mike Tomlin, Ben Roethlisberger, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady is one of the obvious ones. Sean Payton, Drew Brees, pretty good pair as far as coach and quarterback go. Let's go to Gene and Gallitzin. Gene, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, will Boswell kick them off first, or you know?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Will Boswell kick them more tonight?
Will Boswell...
Will kick them more?
That's a good question. I am not 100% certain. I expect we should probably see him. Thanks for the call. I know Mike Tomlin said a lot of guys will not play tomorrow night. I don't know if he's one of them. I would imagine that he needs to kick tomorrow because he's a guy that they're paying a lot of attention to, and they brought him back this season after pretty much shut him down last year, and they brought another kicker in the end of the season. So if you're going to keep this guy for another year and put this guy on this team, you're going to have to see what he has. So I would expect to see him tomorrow night, but that's really not my decision as to whether or not we're going to. But if I'm the Steelers, you got to put him out there and see what you have. Here's what we'll do. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll answer more phone calls and a couple more tweets. See you in a minute.